Today I'm talking about creating the ultimate content calendar and striking that perfect balance between evergreen content and trends. The biggest problem brands are facing is that they're treating content like fast fashion churn. If you focus on evergreen content, you have certain content pillars that you can return to again and again and repurpose them across platform. So you're not making more, but you're leveraging what you have. Your content then becomes regenerating. It's evergreen, it lasts all season round. You create a content bank and your content becomes an appreciating asset because you get to use it again and again and again. But if you are fixated on jumping on trends and going viral, then you are continuously behind playing catch up, trying to catch what's already happened so you can ride the coattails or ride that stream. But if you look at what's working best and you leverage that and you deepen that and you enrich those conversations, you have content that's going to last a lifetime and it's legacy creation. There's nothing wrong with jumping on trends, but it should really make up about 20% of your content calendar, and 8% should be content that you can reuse so that you're not just always chasing your tail, trying to keep up and making things and just draining resources, time and money. Reuse what you've got, and you can do that with evergreen content. Here's how. So let's assume that you already have an established brand with lots of content online. The first thing you're going to want to do is run an audit over the last year or even 3 years to find out what is your most engaged content. Now you'll have the stories and the themes and the actual pieces, and Creatrix can write a strategy for you. First things first, reuse what you've got, literally as is. Repost as is, or if it's a video, you could always change the hook, change the introduction, slice it up a little bit. If it's a carousel of images, start with a different one, but you could also use it as is. Then what Creatrix will do is it will write you a strategy based on what's working best of how you can repurpose this content. Do you want to turn it into a blog? Do you want to take the audio out and create a visual piece? There's a multitude of ways that you can work with existing content. But like the most simplest is just repost it and splice it up. Then start looking at what are these themes and stories that seem to work so well for your audience, and how do you do more of the same? If you don't have enough content, so you're starting out and you're like, well, I want to create something, then there's a few ways you can do this. The first is to look at comparable brands in your vertical, in your industry, and see what they're doing best. What are the most compelling stories and themes that is resonating with their audience? Again, Creatrix will do this for you because it'll literally run an audit and tell you what these top posts are, extract the insights from those, and then write your strategy of exactly what to do. So you'll know what to do. You could do this for one brand, but I recommend doing a few different brands. And now you have the baseline of people who are interested in this specific thing like these stories. How do I use these for my brand? And Creatrix will tell you. Then sure, sprinkle in a little trend here and there, but instead of just hopping on a trend that is trending on TikTok or on Instagram, look at the trends within your vertical. So if you've looked at 5 different accounts and you realize all of them are using the same audio at top posts, use that audio. Or they're all talking about this specific thing, you can talk about that too with your own spin. A question I often get from brands is, how do we have a generalized content plan that goes across the board? Do we really need separate strategies for every single platform? And while I always recommend specific and niche, you could look at creating a comprehensive, holistic 360-degree strategy that then you put onto different platforms. But I wouldn't think of this as generalized. I would think of this as comprehensive because of where you're taking that data from. So you don't want a separate strategy for every single platform, but you also don't want a copy and paste approach where you just spray and play and hope for the best and see what sticks. You want to start with your best foot forward. So for this, I would look at a full spread. I would look at my competitor, my comparable, aspirational accounts, and then wildcard content. So what's a brand that has a total vibe or an edge that you love that has nothing to do with your industry or speciality, and how do you bring that into the mix? So now you have a collection of these different brands, some that are in your vertical, some that just you totally aspire to be like for their tone or their style, and something which just has an edge that you want to add into the mix. So get a Creatrix audit on all of these different brands, look at their top performing posts, and then collectively put this together into a strategy and push the button, apply to my brand. So you'd apply to your brand and see, taking all these unique elements, here is a comprehensive strategy. And now you can distill this into, all right, for Instagram, for TikTok, for YouTube, for LinkedIn, wherever you're going to put these different posts. But you haven't just copy and pasted one account and gone, I want to do exactly what they're doing across platforms. You've got something really creative added into the mix. A trend that you'll be noticing is this big return to nostalgia. So a lot of brands are looking at nostalgia because it's what people are saying that they really want. But why do you think people are saying nostalgia is what they want? We live in this AI saturated world where everything is content churn and unreal, and nostalgia is basically a euphemism for human. We want to be human and connected, to make us feel something. So you want that regardless. And the problem with everyone going, oh, we want nostalgia, is now these AI models are being fed on nostalgia, which they were already fed on before, the original content, now the nostalgic rehash of that. And it's just getting blended down into this goopy mix. So you really never want to be looking at a generalized summation. But what you do want to be looking at when you run an audit is, within these top stories and these top posts, what are the threads that you can extract, these little zones of genius, and weave those into new stories for yourself? What's your original take on a story that's already doing well? And this is beautiful with the free association that can be done, because you can look for all these unique elements, weave them together into something original for your brand. So Creatrix is not a generative AI company. It's not going to just produce a bunch of churn for you on generalized data sets of what it thinks people want. It's going to look at brands that you have specifically chosen, and within that brand or a specific hashtag, it's going to tell you what are the top performing posts and how do you translate that into a strategy that applies to your brand. Now, this goes for your marketing messaging, for your content plan, and even your product decisions of what people want and how you can adapt to their needs to meet them where they're at. It's so much more than just marketing strategy. It's business development. Because ultimately what your content creation is doing at best is it's bringing you your audience. It's bringing you that pool of people who are going to buy from you again and again. You're creating that loyalty. And the beauty of evergreen content is that it just keeps going and growing. You can reuse and reuse, because as your audience grows, a lot of them haven't seen that content before, so you can give it back to them in different ways. It's like watching your favorite series on a rerun. Sometimes you just want to see the same thing again because it's so good, because that's what you go for. Like, I go to my favorite coffee shop and I order the same coffee again and again. I want that consistency, I want that quality, and I know where to get it. Now, when a brand that, and you know exactly what you're going to get from that brand, that's a wonderful, comforting place to be. Instead of every single day the brand's trying a new trend and just trying to be like something else. Now more than ever, if your brand can have integrity and say, this is what we stand for, this is the kind of content that we create, it can develop that relationship with you, that you're going there for that specific conversation. It's not just a copy and paste version of someone else. It's not just a photocopy brand. You really want to create that legacy content that has longevity. You're talking about creating like a classic novel or a movie or a song that stands the test of time. That is not trendy. Evergreen is where it's at. And of course, when you're creating evergreen content, you are cutting down on time, money, resources, because you're reusing the best of the best. So the more you post online, the more you'll be able to audit your content and start to really extract, okay, this is what's working, and then you're going to keep the top % of what's working. So say you've audited posts for a year. You look at those top 3 posts, maybe 3 to 5, and keep those, and then stop doing the rest. But then the content mix becomes, this top percentage becomes 80% of the content, and then you keep adding in fresh, say 20% of fun content, of new ideas that you're testing out. But your content then progressively gets better and better and better, because every time you're putting in content, you're auditing, you're skimming the cream off the top, you're removing the rest, and then you're baking in some fresh ideas. So if you want some specific guidance on exactly how to do this, reach out to me. I'm happy to break this down further in relation to your brand, because obviously everyone's brand is different, and give you a strategy plan on how to work with Creatrix for your business. My email is lauren@creatrixsas.com, or you can check out creatrixsas.com online with all the information there. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe our YouTube channel so you can keep up to date with all the product developments and perspective shifts on how you can have the most creative, authentic, original brand